Hi guys, I said before that I'm not a journalist, but I have a huge respect for real journalism because it is a difficult job to put your biases aside and remain as impartial as possible. But people like Julie Hartley-Brewer don't either understand that or pretend not to. And she had her backside handed to her by Roger Bolton, a former BBC executive, on the issue of impartiality. This is wonderful to watch. Have a listen.
BBC shouldn't have a view, and in its choice of stories and in the way it tells those stories and who it interviews, it shouldn't betray that view, but it does. And the reason why is because to a man and woman, they take the leftist view.
But you're entitled to your view, and I'm entitled to my view,
which is wrong. But they aren't. But this is where the job of the BBC is to present facts.
Yes, but it's difficult, isn't it, when people don't want to face those facts?
No, it's not difficult. People can choose to ignore them. The BBC's job is to present facts. I don't want to hear the BBC's opinion on anything.
We agree
I want
about
them to tell me the facts. No, but the point is,
Julia, you and I agree. Julia and I are
facts.
arguing about nothing because we both agree the BBC should stick to the facts. The problem
You said it was hard for them to do that. I said I don't think it is. I don't think facts are hard at all.
I think it's hard for all of us to recognise our prejudices, put them aside and try and concentrate on the facts. And we all look for, on the whole, we look for facts which will support our predetermined position. I think they're like that. I'm going to find things out. The BBC's job is to say, yeah, there are facts over here which aren't so convenient for you, and to present you with a rounded picture.
And they don't do that.
When they don't do that, they should be criticised. But they try to do it genuinely.
No, I think they don't try to do it. Look, on climate change, they don't do it. On trans issues, they don't do it.
Well,
on Gaza, they don't do it.
Hold on.
On Brexit, they didn't do it until they were legally required to in the 2016 election.
This is just not true.
It's 100%
Julia, you and your channel network have a particular perspective. Fine, I'm delighted.
I have my perspective. It's not my. I have only my personal views that I give. I don't give anyone else's, and I don't expect anyone else here to agree with my views.
People who listen to your channel can make that judgment. But what I'm saying is, it's quite fine for you to do opinionated stuff.
That's what I'm employed to do.
That's fine. We want an organisation which you can rely upon not to do that and to present us with the facts. In my view, the BBC generally does that. It's got a highest trust recognition of any media organisation.
People don't realise they're being lied to. Their climate coverage is so unscientific and unfact-based, it's a joke. Their pushing of trans agenda over women's rights, completely unscientific, unmedically proven and dangerous, I would say. Their coverage of Gaza has been, immoral and I would say dangerous.
Okay, so this is somebody who has strong opinions and believes that her opinions are facts. There's nothing here that Julie Hartley-Brewer has presented as facts. She just said, I disagree with the BBC when it comes to issues like climate change or transgender people or Gaza. I disagree with them and I believe they're wrong. Okay, you can have that opinion, but it doesn't change the fact. Now, has the BBC made mistakes? Yes, and I have called out the BBC on a number of occasions, in particular when it comes to Brexit, when it comes to the Conservatives. Does that mean that I think the BBC should be shut down? No, I don't. In the same way as I don't think reform-friendly Talk TV or reform-friendly GB News should be shut down because of their bias towards reform. They should be controlled. They should be checked by the regulator, Ofcom. If they have broken the rules, they should be punished. Should they be shut down? No, I don't think so. Unless they break the rules in such an egregious way that they deserve to be shut down. But I don't think they've reached that threshold yet. You need to have a strong regulator to push journalists in the right direction if they make mistakes, to punish them if necessary. That's what you need. See, Julie Hartley-Brewer tries to present herself as somebody delivering the facts, when in reality, she's delivering opinions, not facts. When she talks about Brexit, for example, she thinks Brexit was a good idea. Her opinion is that Brexit was a good idea. But the BBC, its job is to look at the data. What has been the impact of leaving the European Union on trade, on employment, on cost for businesses? This is what the BBC are presenting. This is the data. Now, you can come to your own conclusion whether it was worth it or not. But that's an opinion. It's not a fact. And unfortunately, while Talk TV will defend themselves and say, well, we're just talking about opinions here, they will also try and present it as a fact, when in reality it's not. As I said at the beginning, I have a huge respect for real journalists, because journalists have a difficult job. They have to put their biases aside and try and be impartial. But journalism ends when you switch on Talk TV or GB News, because those people are not interested in being impartial. They're pushing a particular narrative. The BBC is not pushing a narrative. Not that I have seen. There are people in the BBC who are employed by it who may have their own opinions and narratives they want to push. But generally, the BBC does not have a narrative that it's trying to push down people's throats. And that needs to be understood and respected. Are mistakes made? Of course they are. Are journalists called out? Of course they are, and rightly so. But there's a difference between the quality of journalism at the BBC and the journalism at Talk TV or GB News. We're comparing apples and oranges here. One is about opinion, the other is about the data and facts. And we should never mix the two. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think, and I'll see you in the next video.